Hey everyone, welcome to a new episode of my tutorial park. In today's episode I'm going to make a triple launch coaster. Now a triple launch coaster is a coaster where the coaster has a section, or the track has a section where the coaster train first travels forward using boosters, then travels backwards, and then travels forwards again, boosted a little bit harder so it actually makes it over a hill. Now the triple launch segment could actually be in the station, like at Gold Rush in the Dutch Park Slagharen. It could be right after the station, after a block section. Often there's some kind of transfer track to lead a train onto the launch track. Or it could even be further on, somewhere in the middle of the track, where the train actually arrives at high speed. Now the kind of triple launch coaster I'm going to make here is one where the train actually leaves the station, then enters a little transfer track, and then immediately enters the triple launch section. Top Thrill 2 also operates like this. Now you can make a triple launch coaster with multiple coaster types. I think the easiest one to work with is actually the Giga Coaster. So that's what I'm going to use first. And later on I'm going to change it into the limb launch roller coaster type. Mostly because I like this kind of track. But to start off, I will build the track or the ride with the Giga Coaster track. Now for the station, I will just start somewhere over here. And I'm immediately going to start with the brake section of the coaster. Because this ride here is kind of in the way, and I want to make sure that later on I have enough space for it. Alright, we have the station now. Now, making the transfer track is really simple. I'm just going to make a little S-bend here. And later on we'll make this S-bend invisible. And we'll just make it look like there's a little track here that could shift to the left or to the right. So a train would drive forwards onto the transfer track. It would get shifted onto the launch track. Now I'm making this section as long as the station, so the station is 4 tiles here. So I'll also make sure we have 4 tiles here. And after that I'll start the booster track. Now I'll set it to a speed that will not be enough to let the train pass over a hill that I'm going to make over here. No, you don't have to go vertical here, you could even make an inversion here. Or any kind of high track, which the coaster would not be able to make it over. Now I'm going to temporarily remove this S-bend, and I'm here I'm going to place 4 straight track pieces, and then we can build the S-bend again. Now over here at this junction, you'll want to make sure that this straight piece is lower in the list than the S-bend, or else when the train reverses it will go up the S-bend again back through the station, and that's not what we want. Now over here I'll start adding a few booster pieces again. I'll set these at a higher speed than these booster pieces, and that should help the train actually make it over the hill the second time it passes. Alright, here I'll make a little airtime hill, kinda like the coaster Icebreaker at SeaWorld Orlando. Now you could make a straight spike at the back, but I like to give them a nice shape, so that will make the coaster look more interesting. And as a plus, it also draws a support here. Now, I might make the game, trick the game into drawing another support here later, since the spike does look a little bit unsupported. But for now I think this is okay. For the vehicles, I will change the ride, or change the train type into a vehicle that actually has sprites for vertical track. So for now I'll use the limb launch roller coaster track. Another good candidate would probably be the floorless roller coaster trains. I think we could fit 4 cars per train on here. Let's give the ride a little test. So here it goes onto the S-bend. Here it will get launched forward. Doesn't have enough speed to fully make it over. Here it goes backwards, up to the spike. And then now it should actually have enough speed to make it over. And there we go. Alright, now to make it look a little bit more believable, I'm going to add a few sections of track here to make it look like these boosters actually extend all the way to the back here. Now here we could actually place a booster piece, since it's a straight track piece. And for the rest I will use this mini suspended coaster track. And I'll build it right over the actual track. Now you should only place these track pieces on straight parts of the track. Yeah, the tolerances for these limb boosters are usually pretty small on real coasters, so they are never used in turns, only on straight track. But the straight track could be actually be sloped. Alright, I think that's about as much as I'm going to place. And I'll give the booster track a white color. Now the Giga Coaster track has these nice booster sprites. If I'm going to change it into a different track type later on, then I will just extend these mini suspended coaster track pieces further. Alright, now that the triple launch is done, I'm just going to make a track layout for this coaster to cover this area of the land. Now this tutorial is mostly about the triple launch itself, so I'm just going to speed through this. Okay, I've built a layout for the triple launch coaster. Now in the end I decided not to use block brakes. I think it should be possible as long as you make the block brakes on this section on the track and not on the backwards spike. But I'm not 100% sure of that. Oh yeah, here you can see the triple launch section with the spike. And then over here, yeah, this drops down. I tried to make it have some nice curves in the layout. Try to make it look like it flows nicely. Also decided to give it a few inversions here in the form of this medium loop. Here's a little airtime hill. Here's another inversion, and then finally before the brake section there's another quick roll. Now the trains don't actually have sprites for these 0G rolls, but yeah, I think it looks alright enough to just include them. Okay, what I'm going to do next is make a little transfer track here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make this part of the track invisible. And I will just make a little rail here, so it looks like this section of rail could just slide to the left and the right here. And immediately right across here I'm going to make a little transfer track. Now these triple launch coasters that have a transfer track like this, that will often also immediately be used yeah, for trains to be able to move to a storage track. So often roller coasters will actually have a transfer track near their end brake run, which I also did over here, for example. But since we already have a transfer track, that will no longer be necessary, and we can just make a little storage shack over here. Now I'm just selecting these track pieces here with the tile inspector. So if you hold control and you click something, you'll immediately select it. So over here, these track pieces for this S-band, I've made them all invisible. And next I'm just going to put some rails under them. Now for this it will help if you use the allow building track at invalid height sheet, because that will allow you to build at a nice height right under the track here. Now I'm hiding the supports of the original track here, and I made sure that this track over here is the same length as this station, or so that the train would be able to fit onto the transfer track completely. Okay, now that we have this transfer track here, I'm going to make a little storage shack over here. To do that, I'm just going to copy some straight track pieces over here. And I'll just make some extra tracks here. I'll use the same length as the station so that a train would be able to fit here. I'll lower the ground under it a bit, because I always like to have my all my track pieces off the ground a bit. And I'm just going to make a simple building around here. And I'm going to make it look like it has some garage doors. By the way, if it wasn't clear yet, most of this is built with clearance checks disabled, which is also what allowed me to build the coaster, or the mini suspended coaster, over the other track, and also what allowed me to make these crossing tracks here. Now, something which is always a nice combination to have is, well, if you want to have your roofs in a certain color, a combination that will work nicely is to take these glass roofs in any color, and then just put one of these roofs right under it. You could also use the jungle roofs instead. Alright, our little storage building here is done. Now, what I always like to do to make garage doors is that I will use these corrugated steel walls and just stack them on top. And to make it look like a garage door is opened, I'll take one of these corrugated steel base blocks, and you can just put it right next to it. And then just put some of these poles right next to it. I think that looks nice. Now, here's something else which you might see if you put this mini suspended coaster track over your track. Your supports may start looking like this, where they jut out to the side. That's because the mini suspended coaster track is actually moving it to the side. So in order to change that, just switch the order of these track pieces. So this is the Giga coaster, or this is the mini suspended coaster track piece. I'll just move it over the Giga coaster track piece, and as you can see, this support now draws normally. Now over here, this spike looks a little bit under supported, so I'm going to make the game actually draw a support over here. Now, an easy way to do that is to just take, let's take an inverted roller coaster. So I'll just build some inverted roller coaster track here. Now, as you can see in this curve piece, the game will always draw two supports like this. Actually, I'm going to use a different track type. Let's use the compact inverted coaster. Because, these supports look more like the coaster supports we have here. Now, the game always draws two supports in this curve, no matter where it is. So, if we make the track here invisible, like so, using the invisible color type, and we now make the supports orange, and now we could use these to make a support wherever we want. Now I just pasted this track piece, but it doesn't draw a support at the moment. That's because it's below surface. Now it's above surface, so now it actually draws a support. So I'm just going to fiddle around a bit to get this support to look nice from all angles. Now, if you can't get it to look right, you can also use a different coaster type. Now I'm just gonna use the corkscrew roller coaster, and I'm gonna see if I can, make it look nice with that. Alright, so in the beginning I had the inverted coaster track, but in the end I switched it to the corkscrew coaster track. I think this looks a bit nicer. So if you use the inverted track, the support will always be on the side of the track. But if you use a sit-down coaster, the support will always be in the middle of the track. I think in this case it looks nicer, but you'll have to see what works for you if you ever need to have the game draw support some places where it normally doesn't. Alright, I'm now going to change the ride type, as I said I would do in the beginning of the video, from Giga Coaster to Limb Launch Coaster Track. Now there's two things you'll have to keep in mind when doing that. First is booster speeds are different for different types of coasters. So if we change this, yeah, the coaster might not actually be able to make it over this top hat. Or maybe it will launch too fast. So yeah, I'm just going to mess around a bit with the settings. Now, and another thing that you'll have to keep in mind is that some track pieces will not draw when you change the ride type. Anyway, let's change it to the Limb Launch Coaster Track. Alright, now the brake section has actually become invisible, so we'll have to do something about that. And I also don't like the look of these booster pieces here, so I'm also just going to overlay some normal track pieces, and I'm going to extend this mini suspended coaster track wherever these pieces now show that I don't really like. Now first off, I'm just going to make these track pieces here invisible, and I'm going to overlay some straight track. Now I'm just going to use this existing coaster track. When you do that, you don't want the... Well, when you overlay this track over the existing track, yeah, you'll want the coaster to keep going through the boosters. So we'll have to make sure that this track is above the original track in the tile inspector. An easy way to make sure of that, so I'll just paste this track piece over here. And I'll just raise it up, and then I'll paste it here, then I'll lower it down. As you can see, I moved it up here, so when I paste it over here on this tile, it's completely at the top of the list, and then I'll just lower it to where I want it to be. And I'll do the same for the rest of these. Alright, the other issue we have is that the track pieces here on the brake section don't show. For some reason the Limb Launch Coaster doesn't have brake sections on a diagonal yet. So for this section I'm going to change the ride type into a ride type that does have them. So the looping roller coaster actually does have sprites for a diagonal brake section. So I'm going to recolor these track pieces over here. So let's use alternate color scheme. Okay, so this part is now recolored into alternative color scheme 1. I'm going to change the entire ride to the Limb Launch roller coaster again. And then I'm going to take the ride editor plugin. I'm going to find this ride. It's now just called Limb Launch roller coaster 1. Okay, I found the ride, selected it. I'm going to select here alternative color scheme 1. And I'm going to select ride type. We'll change that track to the looping roller coaster. Apply selected changes. And now this track, this part of the track has become a different ride type, the looping roller coaster. So this part actually has sprites again. Now I'm just going to recolor it back to the original color. Okay, it looks like here we have some other track pieces that aren't visible. I may actually redo the layout a bit over here, because I think only the single rail coaster, the Giga coaster, and maybe also the hybrid coaster have track pieces for this. So I'll just have to redo this part a bit. Okay, I just reshaped it a bit, and just for fun, I also changed the banking a bit so that it kind of looks like an outbanked turn over here. Now the next thing I'm going to do is actually make a station for the ride and a queue. Yeah, I'll keep the queue line pretty simple, just going to make it go back and forth here a few times, probably with some gardens in between. Okay, the coaster now has a nice station. All that's left to do is now test to see if it actually works with this new track type that I just selected for it. at the limb launch roller coaster now. I'm just going to check if the booster speed is still good enough to get it over the hill here. Now, it looks like already on the first pass it doesn't reach up to the height that it would with the Giga Coaster track. So it looks like I will need to set the speed a bit higher. Now, because I need to change the booster speed, that also means I have to delete the pieces that I pasted over it. We could have prevented that if I used a different track type for that. Anyway, for now, I'll just tweak the booster speed until it looks good enough. And once that's done, I'll rebuild these booster pieces. Or I'll fill in, I'll make the booster piece invisible again and then fill in the gap. Alright, our triple launch coaster is now finished. Now all that's left to do is to add some decoration around it. I'm gonna do a little bit of land texturing around the coaster. And I'm also going to add a bit of foliage next to it here and there. Okay, the guests are now streaming towards the ride. It's pretty high excitement, so it's to be expected that all the guests who haven't ridden it yet will now be heading for this coaster. Now, as I said before, you can do the triple launch somewhere in the middle of the track, right at the start, or even in the station. But I think this is always a nice way to do it. And this is also an easy way to do it. And I think it also looks nice with a little transfer track here. Alright, now final thing which you may still want to fix is, right now the trains look a little bit glitchy as they pass through this mini suspended coaster track. Now the easiest way to fix it would just to keep the track as Giga Coaster track, as then it's less of an issue. Another way we could fix this is by just coloring the trains white. And that will also make it less apparent that the train is glitching a bit through this mini suspended coaster track. Now there's even another option. For example, we could change the ride type to Giga Coaster track. And then with the ride editor cheat, or the ride editor plugin, we could change all the ride track to limb launch roller coaster track. And then the train would actually be a little bit higher above the track. But in parts like this, for example, it would look like it would be floating a little bit above the track. So I'm happy with keeping it this way. And with the white train, it's just less apparent that it's glitching. But yeah, keep that in mind if you use the limb launch roller coaster track for a triple launch coaster. Probably best to just use the Giga Coaster track instead. Okay, and with that we have arrived near the end of the episode. And to finish it off, I'm going to add another patron to the park as an entertainer. Alright, Adam Garner or Adam G, thank you so much for supporting me through Patreon. And I hope you enjoy your spot in the park here on top of this loop. Alright, that's going to be it for this video. If this tutorial is useful for you, if you enjoyed it, please consider liking this video. It would really help out my channel. And if you want to see more of these tutorials, you can always subscribe. Alright, that's going to be it for this video. Hope it was useful for you. I'll see you again in the next one. See you later.